Welcome back, deep divers. Today, we're going deep, really deep, into a book that you might not know as well.
A little less well-trodden path.
You could say that.
Right.
We're tackling the Wisdom of Solomon. It's part of what's called the Apocrypha, those extra books.
Ah, so not always in everyone's Bible.
Exactly. But don't let that fool you. This book is packed with stuff about wisdom, about righteousness, good versus evil. Timeless stuff, really.
It's interesting how these texts, even the lesser-known ones, can still speak to us today.
Totally. Okay, chapter 1, right off the bat, it's like, boom. It says, love righteousness and seek wisdom. It's a strong start. What do you think?
It sets the tone, doesn't it? The whole book kind of hinges on this idea that our thoughts matter. It says, crooked thoughts separate us from God. In a world where there's so much information, so many distractions.
It's easy to get lost, for sure.
Exactly. So it's like this ancient reminder to be sincere, to really seek wisdom and truth.
To our motives.
Yeah, spot on.
So then chapter 2 jumps into this debate. You've got the folks who are like, life is short, let's party, meaningless.
The YOLO crowd.
Yeah. Versus those who believe in God's justice and that our souls live on.
Big questions. It's fascinating how the arguments from the life is short side still feel so relevant.
Oh, totally.
Like they're all about instant gratification, chasing pleasure, material things.
It's like they predicted modern life.
Right. Hedonism, materialism. It makes you wonder, does that really lead to happiness? That's the question the book is poking at.
Definitely makes you think about priorities. Then we get to chapter 3, and it's this message of comfort. The souls of the righteous are safe with God, even when things are rough. That image of being tested like gold in the furnace.
Powerful, right? It's about refining, coming out stronger, shining brighter later,
Yeah, it's hope, especially when we see so much suffering or injustice.
Exactly. Holding on to faith when things are tough.
Okay, chapters 4 through 6, they get into virtue, living forever, and how fleeting success really is. The book contrasts a righteous person, even if they die young, with an ungodly life, no matter how long it goes on.
So it's saying a good life cut short is better than
a bad, long one.
Yeah. It really challenges how we view a good life, doesn't it? We're so focused on living longer, getting more stuff.
Does that really matter?
Yeah.
That's what the book is saying. Then we shift to chapter 7, and we're with Solomon. He's on this personal quest for wisdom, right? He prizes it above wealth and power.
Which is so interesting because he had both, supposedly.
Right. Like, he's speaking from experience. And the way wisdom is described here, it's mind-blowing. It's this powerful force guiding everything. Makes you think, do people still seek wisdom like that today?
Especially in our world where information is everywhere. It's a good question.
It really makes you think what wisdom even means today. Like, we're drowning in information, but...
But are we wiser? Good point. And that actually ties into what the book gets at next. Chapter 7 digs into that. It's saying, look, wisdom eyes out there. It's accessible.
Not just for, like, super geniuses or something.
Right. It literally says it's easily seen by those who love her and found by those who seek her.
So it's there if we want it.
But, and this is a big BT, we got to be genuine about it. Remember those crooked thoughts?
Yeah, separating us from God.
Exactly. Wisdom can't hang out with deceit.
Got to be honest with ourselves first.
Totally. Got to get our hearts straight,
Makes sense. Now, chapter 8, we get personal. Solomon, King Solomon, he's praying for wisdom. He's like, this is the gift from God. I can't just earn it.
It's humility, which you don't always associate with kings, right?
Yeah, it's like he's saying, I have all this power, all this wealth, but true wisdom. That's got to come from somewhere higher.
It's a good lesson for anyone, really.
So then we get to chapters 9 and 10, and it's story time.
History lesson. The book uses these examples, showing how wisdom actually worked in the past.
Like guiding people, entire nations.
Making a real difference, not just some theory.
It makes you wonder, though, are there still people out there, leaders maybe, who operate with that kind of wisdom?
Are we in a wisdom drought?
Could be. Okay. So chapters 11 through 13, we're getting into heavier stuff. God's mercy, his justice. How does that all work, especially with people who, well, reject him?
It's tricky, right? The book says God is merciful, but also just. There's grace, a chance to change, but UT actions have consequences.
It doesn't always feel fair looking around at the world.
I get that, but the book is saying trust the process, even if we can't see the whole picture.
Have faith that it'll all work out.
Exactly. Okay, next up, idol talk. Chapters 14 through 16, the book is not a fan of idolatry.
Straight up condemns it. Says it leads to messed up morals, and ultimately we suffer for it.
And it's not just about literal idols like statues or whatever.
It's deeper than that.
It's about anything we put above God. wealth, power, stuff, even our own desires.
Wow. When you put it that way, it's like, what am I idolizing without even realizing it?
Right. We all got to check ourselves.
Big time. Okay, last stretch. Chapters 17 through 19, we're back to the Exodus story.
But this time, we're seeing it through the lens of wisdom.
Like, how did wisdom play into all that?
It shows God protecting his people, guiding them, light versus darkness. That imagery pops up again.
Like that pillar of fire in the desert.
Exactly. God's right there with them. And it's a reminder that even when things are bad, there's a way forward if we follow that wisdom light.
So as we wrap up Wisdom of Solomon, what are the big, take-home messages here?
Well, I think it's this. Righteousness, living right, it's key. Wisdom, it's a gift. Got to ask for it humbly. And it's not just knowing stuff, it's using that knowledge well.
It's like this book is giving us a roadmap, almost.
In a way, yeah. And as we get into these final chapters of Wisdom of Solomon, it really drives those points home.
Okay, so what are some of the big things you want listeners to walk away with?
Well, I think one of the biggest is this. Wisdom. The way this book talks about it, it's more than just facts. It's about getting to the heart of what's good, what lasts. It's like aligning yourself with God's plan, finding that true fulfillment.
Not just knowing a bunch of trivia.
Exactly. It's about living it. And that leads to another key point, this idea of choosing righteousness, being a good person. Justice, compassion, respect for God, those are the markers.
So after spending all this time with the Wisdom of Solomon, what would you say is the absolute most important message?
I think it boils down to this. True wisdom, it's a gift, straight from God. But we gotta want it, sincerely. And it's not just about book smarts, it's about living with integrity, doing what's right, and trusting God.
It's a powerful message, and I hope everyone listening feels inspired to keep seeking wisdom and applying these ideas to their own lives.
Absolutely. Wisdom of Solomon, it's an old book, but the stuff it talks about, it's timeless. It's a journey worth taking, and it can lead us to a life that's truly meaningful.
Well said. And to all our deep divers out there, keep searching, keep questioning, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.